Hey everyone, Papercut here with another video. My wife loves hearing that in the next room. Oh, she threw up the peace sign. So I wanted to do a series of videos where I asked people on my coaching Discord the strategies they're struggling to play against and how to deal with them. And these are going to be hyper specific. A lot of my videos are more broad, where I talk about like general strategy theory. So I want to do a series where I get very micro and specific, as well as kind of explain the theory of like how to respond to these strategies when you see them. So one of my members responded that he's a Roost player and he struggles against Delhi Fast Imperial and just generally Fast Imperial strategies in general. He feels like he just doesn't know when to attack, when to respond, and then he gets overwhelmed in Imperial. And so he also said that he doesn't see Delhi Fast Imperial very often, or like he doesn't see Imperial strats a lot. So when they happen, it's hard for him to get reps. And so when they happen, it's like surprising. And I really feel that. So what you're going to see in a lot of these videos is that I will be playing the person defending against the strategy, but we don't really have very many Delhi players on my Discord, and so in this case, I am playing the strategy. I'm going to explain where the openings are, but in a lot of other these videos, you will see me playing against the strategy and explain how to play against it. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to skip through a lot of the early play here, but let's start with the theory behind Delhi Fast Imperial. Why does Delhi want to Fast Imperial? One, the strategy I'm going to play and what Delhi players often do in Fast Imperial is Dome of the Faith. That allows them to get cheap scholars. They can then get a lot of scholars very quickly, so that when they age to Imperial, to Castle and to Imperial, they can get all their free techs very quickly. So that's a huge eco impact right there. Two, another reason they do it is because they go for the landmark that creates the Sultan Tower Elephant, which is really strong. And if they just make elephants, both the War Elephant and the Tower Elephant, those can be really good defensive units if they're being pushed. And if someone's not ready for them, they can often lose to them before they realize they are losing to them. A big part of this strategy as well is early pressure. And generally in Imperial strategies like this, you will see maybe some feudal play, maybe some castle play, and there'll always be this tightrope of trying to pressure you with strong units, making you overreact. And then while you're overreacting, they then rush imp. So you actually have to consider the things you have to kind of look for. Where's my opponent getting resources, and can I cut off those resources? Two, is he actually making units, or have I just seen the same like 4 knights running around? And then lastly, if they hit Imperial, don't be afraid to go for it. After they're going Imperial, they spent a lot of resources getting there. And so if you've been putting all your resources into units, you should just have more units and you can push in. And even if you don't kill them on the first push, at least cut them off from resources, starve them out, and then finish them. And as well, just be ready for what you assume will be their Imperial units. For Delhi, it's going to be definitely elephants. So you want crossbows, spears, as your main way of taking them out. Now, as Roos, I was playing as Roos in this instance. What you don't actually want to do, in my opinion, is fast castle early. That's because Delhi will open with some aggression. In this matchup, I actually was anticipating the Roost player, Okoloko. Thank you for doing this with me. I thought they're going to do the classic Roost strategy right now of the fast castle into horse archers. And I thought they're going to be hunting deer first, trying to collect deer. So I'm actually going to make God's end of blocking the deer packs. And then I'm going to take the deer for myself. And so this is the first critical part of playing against the Fast Imperial strat, is denying food. So Okoloko actually decides to go out and just take the deer by putting a wooden fortress on it. So I wasn't anticipating that, but I would say the first thing I would have done as a Roost player playing against Delhi anyway is you actually want to kind of fight them out early. Knights play really well into Delhi early on until Delhi masses up, and you're kind of looking for your own chance to castle safely. So if I was playing Roos, I would have made a few knights and use those knights to TCAP sacred sites and maybe raid, and then go castle behind that while also taking deer. And so you kind of have this early interaction where you're trying to take deer, Delhi's trying to stop you from taking deer, and a few knights can actually open that up for you. So you see my Ghazi show up. I immediately start protecting this deer pack. I realize he is not going to be doing pro scouts. And so in this case, I actually feel pretty open right now. I feel pretty safe because I feel like he's actually trying to get to castle. So why does castle rushing not really work against Delhi? One, Delhi can get food very, very quickly. So with the berries and with the sacred sites, so berries give them extra food, sacred sites give them free gold. So that frees up their eco to focus on getting to castle very quickly when they need to. On top of that, With the free techs, they're not wasting money into those techs, and they're getting good eco tech. So I've gotten wheelbarrow already. I'm getting double broadaxe. I already got the first mining upgrade. So my eco is, even if I have less vills, even if my eco is just generally going to be better. And so you doing fast castle, I can just keep massing units and then rush castle myself and just make your counters as you're coming out, because with my scholars, I can also make units quickly. So for one, you don't really know someone's fast Imperialing at first, but I would just in general actually start by just making units. If you're Rus, it's definitely knights. Knights and archers, but knights at first just for the mobility. Kind of try to make the Delhi player play spears is kind of the way to think about it. If you're worried about Ghazi raids, keep eco near the TC. That's the whole point of doing pro scouts. And then if you have to move on to the map, make sure you're dropping towers as you do so. And then that'll also allows you with knights too. If I like send a scholar out to take a sacred site without backup, your knight can snipe that scholar pretty easily, and that sets me back as well. So since he's not really making units and I don't see units, I'm actually anticipating them fast castling. I'm going to dive the wood line here. They forgot to make a lumber camp. There they go. And since I don't see any units, I'm going to quickly just send out all 3 of my scholars to take sacred sites. Once I start taking sacred sites, and this is generally something you'll see daily players do, if they don't feel you fighting them, the second they take sacred sites, you know they're going castle. So what I did is the second I sent my scholars out, which I could have sent them out even earlier, I send a bunch of units to gold. I have my villagers off wood going to different berry packs, and I start collecting deer as well with my... Well, I'm about to get pro scouts, which then I'll start collecting deer for food as well. Which is another reason why pro scouts for Rus is so good. It just makes it so Delhi can't take the deer packs themselves once they get the free tech. So I'm still just checking deer packs. I'm still paranoid that they're going to take the deer. But I am anticipating a fast castle any second now. Since you don't have any units, you can't do a good high trade house. And that's another reason as Rus, you want to try to make some units, because 4 or 5 knights allow the high trade house to go here, which is a much better spot with all the trees. So this will suffice for now. I've now taken all 3 sacred sites, which is just awful eco-wise, because my eco is going to be very, very good now. I'm getting free gold. Okoloko hits castle, and I'm honestly not worried at all. Now, there was a moment here where things got a little dicey. The good thing that Okoloko noticed is that I was only making Ghazis. I had just dropped 2 archer ranges, but I haven't actually made archers yet. And they're trying to... They actually walk out with spears. And this is a good example of, if you notice I'm not making units, try to punish me for that. He's going to go straight into men-at-arms. I'm not huge in favor of that, mostly because that doesn't really get you anything. My Ghazis can do okay against a small amount of men-at-arms. If I can get to castle fast enough, then I can just start making crossbows and your men-at-arms die. So if you're trying to fast castle against Delhi, I would say you actually want to do some sort of either mass, like knight archer still, even in castle, unless you can really make a lot of men-at-arms very, very quickly. But that would be tough, and I still have map control. I'm still kind of hemming you in. So in this case, you just want to be making army. That's why I say feudal fighting early on is actually better, because the more units you make, you will make me feel like I have to make units. So the spears actually do come out and cause some trouble. They chase off my scouts trying to take trade. I can't fight the spears because I only have Ghazis. He starts decapping with scouts, which is great, but I'm not really still in danger. He doesn't have enough units to stop me. Now, if he had dropped 4 production buildings and was making men-at-arms out of 4 production buildings, that would have been actually potentially bad. But 2 production buildings, I'm okay. But this is a timing here. This sort of fast castle is a timing. But just honestly not quite fast enough. Now, dropping the monastery smart, trying to not let me get relics is a really big deal. I lose a scholar here. Keep in mind, Okoloko's plat 3. I usually sit conk 1, conk 2, so really good. I mean, this is a great attempt by him. And another reason why I wanted to play, I will often play against plat or gold players in these videos, is because that's often the skill range of the people in my Discord, and I want them to see how a player of a higher skill level would react to the strategies they're struggling with in their skill level. So he decaps Sacred Site, smart. I've already eaten a lot of the food, so I have enough deer and enough sheep that I am gonna use that to make my first initial units. But this is actually a dangerous moment for me. I have, let's see here, 2 sheep. I've only gathered a few deer, and this is the sort of timing you want here. Knowing that I am potentially low on food, if you can just keep making units, I will struggle to make units in response. But my first elephant is already coming out, which is why a pure melee comp is not great. Even if it was spears, war elephants can actually hold up okay against spears, and if you get enough of them, their area effect damage will do pretty good. I'm just going to make archers as well here in a second. I didn't because I was so low on wood, but I would just make even feudal archers would do the trick. So you actually want to do mass crossbow and spear, or knight. Knights actually hold up okay until you get a lot of war elephants. So my first war elephant's coming out. And now I'm actually feeling pretty secure again. I actually Wololo the men at arm over here. But here's where we talk about our first timing here. My goal now is to try to get to imp as fast as possible. That's the strategy I'm trying to play. So I'm trying to make just enough units to ward off Okoloko, but not actually engage. And instead try to get to imp safely. He defends the relics and is now capturing, which is great, but you have to decap as much as possible. You need to keep sending units to sacred sites to decap. I'm still getting a lot of free gold, and that's a huge way I get to fast imp. I'm also still trying to take the deer. So even if you did pro scouts later, it's good just to make sure I don't keep getting deer, because this deer is a huge reason why I'm staying alive. I'm going to make some units here. And now Okoloko is going to try to push. Now here's a key thing. Keeping a scout with your army as much as possible is important, because you're actually engaging me when I have a better army, which is not going to work out. But now it's really hard to stop my fast Imperial, because I'm just gathering deer right now. So that's why, once again, fighting in feudal early is important, because you need to start by preventing me from getting resources, since I wasn't fought very much in feudal. And then castle, you didn't have enough to actually pressure me heavily. I was able to grab berries, I was able to grab deer, things like that. And now my food economy is fine, and I can actually outmass. So crossbows, war elephants, that's great. You then go into horsemen. Horsemen is fine to raid, but horsemen aren't going to stand up in a fight. And this is when things are going to start getting pretty hairy, because don't know what that was. Something just turned off and on my computer. Sorry. Anyway. So at this point, it's kind of hard to stop the fast imp, because I have received so many resources. So what do you need to do? You actually need to get back to your base, remass, and raid while you're massing. So keep infantry at home while you're using knights or horsemen to raid around the map, because you have to know I'm on resources somewhere. Usually berries. So for Delhi, it's berries. For other civs, it will be, you know, boar or deer on the map, unless they as well have pro scouted. But now we're starting hitting this territory of it's going to be really hard to stop me. We have some little raids on the food, which is great. And this is actually what you want to do, because you notice I'm trying to get a lot of gold. I have the food, but I'm really trying to get to imp. And then the elephant mass starts growing. It's going to be kind of hard to stop this. But there's a lot of good attempts right here. I'm just playing super close defense. These little raids are nice, but you're actually not building mass. And now at this point, I have a really good army. I feel safe going castle. I mean, imp, and now I am. Now, was that really fast imp? 17 minutes is kind of a fast imp for sure. But the reason I was able to do that, you notice those my villagers are under TC. I think a lot of fast imp strategies now rely on this, is the pro scouts to get deer. Without getting deer, I have to be way heavier on the map for food or be making farms. That's just impossible. And I think even if I was fast imping with any civ, it's grabbing deer, unless it's something like HRE or the dragon, which have cheaper imp age ups. So I'm going to stop this here, because now this is just me going imp, getting an imp army, and walking in and winning. So what were the things that we pointed out as key to stopping a fast imp? One, just being aggressive and feudal is usually effective. I know people are scared to fight Deli and feudal, but if you're a knight civ, you have a pretty good upper hand just right there. Knights are very, very strong. You can use knights to raid. You can use knights to take in good engagements. You do knight archer. It's a pretty good combo. You actually force the Deli player to have a really good mix of horseman spear to stop that. And you're really able to stop sacred sites when you do that. I know the fast castle is really popular for Rus right now, but I think if you're trying to stop a fast Imperial for Rus or as an Civ, feudal fighting it first to force them into making units and to stop them from getting resources is critical, because they want to turtle up. The best way to turtle up is to grab deer. You stop that by making units and cutting off that ability to grab those things. And then also you want to keep them up sacred sites. If I was not Deli, that would still apply as well, where in castle, I want to get relics, I want to get sacred sites. Making units just stops people from doing that. And most people are able to fast imp purely by being able to get resources, turtle in, and then break out to like the next gold. So let's say you're in castle and I was Imperial, and I hit Imperial. One, if you're just making units, push in. If you're afraid to walk in and like die under towers or keep shit like that, make sure I couldn't get to like this gold or this gold, like, or these stone, this gold. Like, you want to then stop me from pushing out as a means to making sure I can't succeed, basically. But usually fast imps happen because of passivity from the opponent, which does not punish the greed. Like making a bunch of scouts to take deer is greedy. Not making units early on is greedy to try to get to castle. And you matching me to castle just gave me space to actually rush imp. I hope that was helpful. If there's any questions, please leave them in the comments. I'd be happy to answer. If you want your own help on strategy or things like that, feel free to join my coaching Discord. Hope you have a great rest of your day and good luck on your games.